Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jardon. I am a hypnotherapist, Reiki master, crystal healer, and also a generational pendulum healer. Today we're going to be doing the hypnosis portion for fear. This is generalized past fear as far as the intention goes. And then as far as precautions, please don't listen to this in the driver's seat of your car. Don't operate heavy machinery. Give yourself about 20 minutes to come out of the brain waves that you'll be in. And then you can keep like a glass of cold ice water next to you, or put your hands under cold running water in order to kind of lighten the hypnosis effect to come back to your normal waking brain waves. So I'm going to go ahead and flip the camera around and then get everything set up the rest of the way, and I will be right back. Okay. Go ahead and get into that safe, comfortable place that you can associate with hypnosis. We're going to go ahead and start. We'll pause here if you need to still find that place. But we're going to start with 3 deep breaths. So go ahead and breathe in deeply all the way to your diaphragm, filling up your chest all the way to your collarbones. In through your nose. And go ahead and gently let that out of your mouth all the way until you feel it drain. And there's barely any air left inside of you. And breathe in again through your nose. Filling everything up. And then releasing that all the way out of your mouth. And once again, all the way throughout your whole diaphragm and up to the tippy top of your chest. Breathing in. Filling every nook and cranny. And holding that. Releasing as you settle even deeper into the space you're in. And from whatever position you're sitting in, I want you to go ahead and open your eyes, if you don't have them open, and see right in front of you. Tilt your eyes up at about a 45-degree angle. Find that spot that you can focus on. And go ahead and let your eyes settle there, resting them. And now I'm going to count back from 50. On the even numbers, I want you to go ahead and open your eyes. And on the odd numbers, go ahead and close them. And whenever you're ready to just close them for good, you can go ahead and do so. So starting with 50, eyes open. 49, eyes closed. 48, open. 47, closed. 46, 45, 44, 43, 42, 41, 40, 39, 38, 37, 36, 35, 34, 33, 32, 31, 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 with eyes closed. And with your eyes closed, I want you to imagine yourself standing at the top of a staircase. It's well lit, having handrails on either side, sturdy and safe. And looking down, I want you to go ahead and notice that there are 10 treads, 10 individual steps. We'll start walking down with the left foot at 10, 9, even deeper at 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, allowing me to guide you at 2, 1, and 0 with deep sleep. Deep, deep sleep. And now, standing at the bottom of the staircase, you begin to notice a gentle sound in the distance. A sound that has existed long before this moment and will continue long after this moment. The sound of waves. A steady rhythm. A natural rhythm. The ocean moving in its own way. And as you listen, you may begin to notice something interesting about the waves. They do not need to be controlled in order to be experienced. They rise, they move, they reach the shore, and they return. Each wave has its moment, and then it passes. And perhaps you listen to this rhythm, and you may notice your own breathing beginning to find a natural pace. Not because it has to, not because anything is being forced, simply because the mind and body often recognize rhythm. The rhythm of the ocean, the rhythm of breath, the rhythm of a moment unfolding. And as one wave moves toward the shoreline, another wave begins its journey back towards the horizon. And somewhere in that movement, there is a space. a quiet space, a pause, a moment where nothing needs to be solved, nothing needs to be figured out, a moment simply available for noticing. And perhaps you begin walking toward the shoreline, not needing to know exactly what you will find, not needing to predict every detail, simply allowing yourself to follow the path that feels right for this moment. And as you move closer, you begin to notice the landscape around you. A peaceful shoreline, a place where land and water meet, a place where two different worlds exist together without needing to become the same. The ocean moves, the shoreline remains, the waves arrive, the shoreline receives. And the shoreline does not need to fight the ocean to remain itself. It simply exists, steady, present, connected. You may notice smooth stones along the shore, stones shaped by years of movement, not damaged by the waves, but changed by experience. You may notice grasses moving gently with the breeze, not because they are weak, but because they understand how to move while remaining rooted. You may notice birds traveling across the sky, arriving, leaving, and returning again, each one following its own path, each one responding to the world around it without losing itself within that world. And perhaps you notice there is something comforting about this place, a feeling that this shoreline has always known how to exist here. Through calm waters, through changing tides, through storms that came and storms that passed. And perhaps there is a quiet realization that this place is not safe because the ocean disappears. This place is safe because it knows what it is. And as you continue along the shoreline, you begin to notice something in the distance. A lighthouse standing along the coast, quietly, steadily. It has watched many tides, many seasons, many storms. And perhaps as you move closer, you begin to notice the details, the marks left by time, the textures of the stone, and places where the elements have touched it. And there is something meaningful about that. The lighthouse does not stand because it has never seen a storm. It stands because it has experienced many. Every season that passed, every wave that arrived, every wind that moved through became a part of its story. And still, it remains, not fighting the ocean, not demanding the sky become clear, simply offering a place from which to see, a place of perspective. And perhaps that is one of the quiet gifts of perspective, that it does not always change what is happening around you. Sometimes it changes what you are able to notice within what is happening. From the shoreline, a wave can appear enormous. It can fill your entire view. It can feel as though it is the only thing that exists. And yet, from a place of stillness, from the steady perspective of the lighthouse, the same wave becomes something different. A pattern, a movement, a moment, something that arrives and something that passes. And perhaps you begin to recognize something about fear. Not that it is meaningless, not that it should be ignored, not that it never serves a purpose. Fear has often tried to protect. Fear has often tried to prepare. Fear has often been a reminder to pay attention. But sometimes, old fears continue moving through the mind long after the original moment has passed. Like waves that continue reaching the shore after a storm has already moved on. And perhaps you can begin to notice a thought is a thought, a feeling is a feeling, a memory is a memory, and you are the awareness that can notice them. You are the shoreline. You are not every wave that reaches you. You are not every storm that passes over you. You are the place where experience can arrive, be observed, and be moved through. And perhaps there are thoughts that have visited throughout life, thoughts shaped by conversations, thoughts shaped by experiences, thoughts shaped by moments when someone else's fear, expectation, or limitation became something that you carried. And perhaps you can begin to observe those thoughts with curiosity, not judgment, not criticism, simply curiosity. Like watching a bird land on the shoreline. You may notice it. You may appreciate that it arrived. And you may allow it to continue its journey when it is ready. Not because every thought requires action. Not every feeling requires a reaction. Not every wave requires you to run into the ocean. Sometimes the most powerful response is simply noticing. And from this place of noticing, there is room to breathe. There is room to consider. There is room to recognize what belongs to you and what simply may be passing through. Because wisdom is not found in controlling every wave. Wisdom is found in knowing which wave requires your attention and which waves are simply part of the ocean. And now, perhaps you begin to notice the storm far out along the shoreline. The storm that once may have felt close. A storm that may have felt as though it filled the entire sky. But now, something is different. You are not standing in the center of it. You are observing it. You are noticing the distance between yourself and the storm. And perhaps you begin to recognize the storm has always been separate from the shoreline. It always was. The waves touched the shore. The wind moved through the air. The rain fell. But the storm was never the entirety of this place. It was an experience within this place. And experiences change. Tides change. Weather changes. Thoughts change. You change. Not by forcing yourself to become someone else, but by allowing yourself to recognize what has always been within you. The ability to pause, the ability to observe, the ability to choose. And perhaps you notice the rhythm of the waves again, the gentle movement, the steady return, the ocean reminding you that every wave has a beginning, every wave has a middle, and every wave has an ending. And even during the busiest tides, there are movements between waves, moments where the ocean rests, moments where the shoreline simply exists. And perhaps your mind can begin learning from the ocean. The urgency is not the same as importance. That movement is not always progress. That stillness is not the absence of action. Sometimes stillness is where clarity begins. And perhaps you can imagine a future moment. A moment when something unexpected happens. A moment where an old fear attempts to return. A familiar wave approaching. And instead of immediately becoming that wave, you notice it. You recognize it. You breathe. You remember the shoreline. You remember the lighthouse. You remember that you have choices. And perhaps you discover the question changes. Instead of asking, how do I make this feeling disappear? You may begin asking, what is this feeling trying to show me? What information is useful here? What response reflects who I choose to be? Because fear does not have to be the enemy. It can become the information, and information can be considered. Information can be understood. Information can be responded to with wisdom. The storm continues moving far away, not because it was forced away, not because it was fought, simply because storms move. They have their own paths, their own timing, their own seasons. And as the clouds begin creating more space in the sky, you notice something that was always there: the horizon, wide, open, unchanged, waiting. And perhaps you realize the horizon was never created when the storm ended. It was simply easier to see. And as you stand along the shoreline with the lighthouse steady behind you, the horizon stretching before you, you may begin to notice a quiet understanding forming. And knowing that does not need to be rushed. A knowing that does not need to be proven. Simply a recognition that safety has never been dependent on the ocean becoming perfectly calm. The waves may change, the tides may shift, the weather may move through, and still, there can be a place within you that remains connected, a place that observes, a place that listens, a place that chooses. Because peace is not created by a life without movement. Peace is discovered through the ability to remain connected to yourself while life continues moving around you. And perhaps this shoreline represents something within you, a place that has existed through every season you have experienced, through moments of uncertainty, through moments of growth, through moments when you learned, through moments when you adapted, through moments when you discovered something new about yourself. The shoreline does not need to prove it's survived the storms. The evidence is already there. The smooth stones, the rooted grasses, the steady lighthouse, the horizon that continues beyond every passing cloud. And perhaps you can allow yourself to recognize the same truth within you. Every experience has contributed to the person you are today. Not because every experience was wanted. Not because every moment was easy. Not because you have continued. You have learned. You have adjusted. You have discovered new ways of seeing. And with each discovery, your perspective has expanded. Now, perhaps you imagine yourself standing near the lighthouse, looking out towards the ocean, watching the waves move. And there may be a moment where you notice something interesting. The waves have not disappeared. The ocean has not vanished. The world has not become perfectly predictable. And yet something has changed. You, your relationship with the waves, your ability to observe, your ability to breathe, your ability to pause long enough to choose. And perhaps that is where true strength begins. Not in controlling every circumstance, not in preventing every difficult moment, but in knowing that when something arrives, you have the ability to meet it. One breath, one moment, one choice at a time. And as you continue observing the shoreline, you may notice the creatures that call this place home. The birds moving with the changing winds, the small animals exploring and returning, the life that continues regardless of the tides. And perhaps these creatures remind you of your thoughts, thoughts that arrive, thoughts that wander, thoughts that leave. Some thoughts may bring useful information. Some thoughts may simply be familiar visitors. Some thoughts may have been carried to you from places you have known before. And just as you would try to stop And just as you would not try to stop every bird from crossing the sky, you do not need to capture every thought that enters your awareness. You can notice, you can learn, you can decide. Because awareness creates choice, and choice creates freedom. Perhaps now you can imagine carrying this shoreline with you, not as a place you must escape to, but as a reminder of something that already exists. The steadiness of the lighthouse, the patience of the shoreline, the rhythm of the waves, the openness of the horizon. And in the moments when life feels uncertain, perhaps you can remember the wave is not the whole ocean. The storm is not the whole sky. The moment is not the whole journey. There is always more. More information, more possibilities, more perspectives, more opportunities to choose your response. And now, allowing yourself to begin returning from this journey, bringing with you anything useful from this experience, any insight, any sense of calm, any understanding, any reminder that serves you moving forward. And as you prepare to return, you may choose to create a simple reminder, a small physical anchor, taking your right hand and connecting your index finger to your thumb, allowing your body to do that and feeling it now. A simple touch, a simple reminder. The thumb representing the steady shoreline, the index finger representing the movement of the waves, and the middle point between them representing the place where awareness exists, a place where movement and stability can exist together. And as these fingers touch, you can remind yourself, I can observe without becoming overwhelmed. I can breathe before I respond. I can choose my next step. Because just as the shoreline remains itself while the ocean moves, you can remain connected to yourself while life continues changing around you. And each time you choose to bring these fingers together, you may allow yourself to reconnect with this feeling of steadiness, the feeling of perspective, the ability to notice, to breathe, and to choose. So with 0, we'll close the door to the subconscious and block all negatives. 1, 2, becoming aware of the space you're in and the place you occupy. 3, 4, eyes beginning to open, and 5, eyes open wide awake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, eyes open wide awake. All right, next week we're going to start. I'm actually going to separate out these videos into playlists. And next week we're going to start on the self stuff. At least that's what I've been calling it. So I shall see you next week with our Reiki and crystal healing session. Okay? Go drink some water. Give yourself some time. Bye.